Dynasty. John James, Pamela Sue Martin, Al Corley, Pamela Bellwood, and Gordon Thompson are all here, and they're ready to talk about some of those wonderful things that happened back in the 80s and those big shoulder pads. You looked good, by the way, in the opening of the show in those shoulder pads.
Thank you. I was trying to channel my Joan Collins, my Alexis. Yes, trying to.
All right, let's start with the heat here. You guys had a little love-hate relationship, right, going on?
Yeah.
I think
In real life or on the air? I mean, on the air.
No, it was just hate in real life. Kidding.
Describe characterize what the relationship was like, both on and off.
Well, I mean, our character, Jeff was just madly in love with Fallon.
And certainly not in person. I was a pest.
And she was a spoiled brat, and there was Pam
certainly not in person.
No, but Pam and I, every now and then, there's chemistry that happens on screen that you just can't create. And I think some of the best scenes that I had ever done or had done, and still today, I think, were with Pam in the early days. We had some really great scenes.
Are you chemists in that shot? Can we put that back up? Look at that picture again. This is.
That's, yes, remember that scene?
That is chemistry. Wow.
That's a little.
No, and that was about, that was when I was, I wanted to marry her so badly, and she didn't want to get married, and then she becomes pregnant, and then I said, well, I want to be involved with this, and it was a great little conflict
I
there.
remember the smoking scene.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that.
But what about?
I forgot most stuff except that.
What about the relationship off camera? Because I understand when things would get a little tough, you had a little way for her to.
Well, yeah, because we were under a great deal of pressure. Anybody who does television even knows, well, when you start to become the #1 show on TV, it's pretty pressure. There's a lot of pressure, and every day, either you're working or you're doing press or you're traveling. And I remember we were somewhere out in Hidden Valley, and you just were like, I can't take this anymore. I took Pam and I said, Pam, please, whatever you do, if you have to hit me, go ahead and hit me. Take your frustration out on me. Remember that day?
And did you? Did you?
Probably.
But it was tough. It was really hard work. It was hard work.
I remember one of the most memorable storylines, though, was when they kidnapped your baby. So, do you remember that? Yeah.
I only remember one thing about that.
What?
And that is that when I was supposed to receive the phone call, the director of that week's show said, I want you to drop to your knees and throw the phone. And I went, oh, for God's sakes, that's ridiculous. And we had this huge argument over it. And and he won. And so I had to do it against my better judgment. And so I dropped to my knees in this overly dramatic scene. And the next day the producers came down, which was never a good thing. And they came down and said, that scene we have to reshoot it. It's just not good.
Over the top.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But it did climax on a rooftop with Claudia, Pamela.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. What do you remember about that?
Was that the same baby? Did we have the same baby?
Yeah. Don't you remember?
I think you thought my baby was your baby?
Oh.
Do you remember that scene on the rooftop? Do you remember the scene on the rooftop?
Of course,
I remember everything.
Yes, but I mean, she may have been dysfunctional, but she was in a completely dysfunctional environment. I mean, they were all neurotic.
Blame others.
The entire family was crazy. Yes, of course I remember that. I had no idea that was going to be the final shot of the season until I saw it and saw that it was, but that was pretty out there.
Right.
I just remember a baby being tossed over.
We actually found the baby.
Yeah, we actually found it.
We found the baby.
Yeah, there we are. We actually found it.
Yeah.
We found your baby.
I'm going to keep the baby because I don't know.
That is not the baby. Because I took the baby home and it was in my basement for a long time.
You kept the baby in your basement.
I kept the Dynasty baby.
No.
What?
That's the baby from American Sniper.
Right.
This one.
I think that's Billy Joe McAllister's baby.
This is getting really dark.
No, but we have to. But actually, the baby that went over the side was a doll. It was a real doll. It was a real baby.
No.
We always had twins.
Oh, jeez.
No, we always used, in fact, we did, literally, we always used twins on the show in case one got sick. I think they do that quite often.
It was so hard to.
So I think it was a doll, but it could have been one of the twins.
Well, here, Pamela.
I just remember with the baby that I had not had a baby by then.
There you go.
Behind the head. Support it.
I've had a baby now.
Okay.
Have
Okay.
son. But at the time I didn't, and every time they handed me the baby, because what they do with babies on the set is they wait till the last minute. They don't want them in the harsh lights and so forth. And so at the very last second, they'd hand me the baby and turn the lights on, and the baby would invariably start crying. I'd be like, oh no!
So I want to get into the romance part. As you look down the panel of men here, do you remember any romantic encounters?
I remember quite a few. The only one sitting here I don't remember an encounter with was you.
Oh, well, here you go. Go ahead. There you go. You can have it. There, go.
Well, maybe.
Well, I was waiting for my moment, and finally it arrived a couple years later.
No, Claudia
Claudia was-
did. I remember JJ. I remember being in bed with you on a set, and they had said to you, you have to keep one leg on the floor.
Why?
Because you couldn't be in bed on television. You
Really?
know,
In the 80s?
Do you remember that?
Yep.
That's so weird.
I just remember being in bed
There was
with
something
you.
about it.
60s, you couldn't be in the same bed.
So with the storylines as far-fetched as sometimes they get, you look back and do you feel the show was groundbreaking in certain areas?
Yeah, I mean, you can't characterize Dynasty as a groundbreaking series.
Right.
I mean, it really wasn't.
No, but
it appealed to mainstream, but it did have, it had its
issues.
moments.
It touched on certain issues.
It did, and it also focused on an older set of people as the stars of the show, which hadn't been done
it
before.
was also,
women.
Older women, thank goodness.
and it was also
great.
people with a lot of money, with a lot more problems than the everyday Joe. And I think that was part of it too, that we had huge problems. But also I think people enjoyed watching people
Suffer.
Well, no, with a lot of money, because we were coming out of the 70s, which was, an economic recession.
And be unhappy.
And being unhappy.
Yeah, but you all had so
And
much
gorgeous. God,
Gorgeous.
But you had so much money, but you all lived in one house. I mean, go get your own house.
True.
No, wait.
Well, we have one house here,
yeah,
and
we
we're
do.
going to stay in it, and we're going to step away for a quick break, and we're going to come back, and there's going to be more stories on the other side of the break. Don't go away.